Okay, so continuing from where we left off, simulation structure. Okay, again, I want you to realize that there's only one tab, one area that you can make decisions, but I want to walk you through this real quick. So prepare tab. Okay, so you have some background information, you have the reading, you'll want to do that for the quiz, you'll have the videos to watch. Analyze tab. This tab here will just give you information, historical financials, industry data, marketing of the customer base, kind of what you want to do. We'll show you that. And the decide tab. Those 13 quarters. So that's what, a little over 3 years of decisions, basically 13 rounds that you'll get to make decisions. What levers do you pull? What can you do? Again, you can change price, change your discounting, change how much you spend in marketing. You can change the size of your sales force. You can manage where you assign your sales force, and of course, what you spend in terms of product features and innovation and improvements. And then feedback, you'll get financial data, market research if you pay for it, customer satisfaction. Those are the videos that will change based on how they're feeling about you. You'll get feedback and coaching, and of course, your next budget, which could go up or down depending on how you perform. If you perform poorly, your budget will go down until you actually get fired from the simulation. If you get fired, just rerun it. I'll show you how to do that, and we'll go through it. So I'm just going to show you, which will make it a lot more sense, but these are kind of all you have to worry about in terms of the simulation. So let me jump over to it. The simulation right now is not available for you to jump into with me, but maybe by the time you watch this video, it might be. But for each of my classes, online versus in person, those timetables will change, and I will give you guys updates individually for classes for that. So just stay tuned for when your practice time is open and when your final simulation will run. So just understand how that will work. I will tell each class, hey, the simulation is now available to be practiced on. I'll probably give you a couple of days to do as many practice runs as you want. And then I'll say, hey, at this point, at this day, I'm going to clear out all those practice runs, and you'll get one final run as your official run. The screen you're looking at now is not something you see, but I just want to show it to you. That once I click this, users may run the entire simulation. You can practice it with no limit. I can adjust how the competitor is going to be. And I'm going to put here that users can be fired just for fun. And that this is we're going to call this one the practice scenario. Okay. Now this weighted measures here, this is something that I'm going to change for the final run and versus the practice runs. I'm not going to change it much, but this can change the outcome of your score. So I can go and say, okay, let's go 20 here, and maybe customer satisfaction will drop by 5. Okay, so I'm going to adjust those just a little bit, not a lot for the final run. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, let's go 25 for each of them. So you can kind of just see the different weightings. So, but I will adjust those a little bit for each class. But again, not significantly that it would really alter your performance. Okay, so then for now, instead of activating scenario, because I don't want to make it active for you, I'm going to go ahead and run scenario just to kind of show you how this works. Okay, so this is what your starting screen will look like. I get a question a lot, does this simulation change every time? The answer is no. The start of the simulation starts the same way. The market conditions are identical, and you do not compete with other people in the simulation. You're only competing against the AI, the computer, and their reactions. Okay, so this home screen is just that snapshot of what's happened. So you're now taking over in Q3 of 2012. These previous CEOs been fired. Everything's down, not looking good. Okay, your profit margins down here are shrinking. This is the average prices. How much are you spending on features, right? So this is kind of the snapshot. This is what the screen will load to when you make your decisions. Okay, Now let me come back to this Decide tab. So if you look at my little mouse up here on the top right, next to that green question mark, the Decide tab, if you go to that, this is the only screen that you can edit. Everything else is information. This is where you can actually make your decisions, and only this screen. So let's walk through it. I'm going to come back to pricing because it's kind of the most complex, but Salesforce emphasis. So where do you want to allocate your Salesforce? You watch the videos, you find out who's your kind of important segment, you'll find out what segments care about salespeople, what segments don't, etc., etc., etc. Make your decisions. For now, I'm just going to say, you know what, we're going to go heavy on A and C and maybe less on B and D. So you can see that our Salesforce allocation is targeted towards those two for now. Not saying that's the right decision, that's just an example. Okay, so my total budget is $800,000. My Salesforce here, I've got 11 salespeople. They're costing me a lot of money. I can change that to, I could fire some. You can't fire too many, it'll get mad at you. But if I let some go, you can see my remaining budget here at the bottom. I've now freed up some money. But I can also hire salespeople down the road or let them go. Make it, I think you can get down to 6 or 5. I don't know, you play with it. Spending on large customers. So right now my budget is allocated 50% to large customers and 50% to small customers. You only have to edit the large ones and it'll automatically edit the small ones because it's the only two segments. So we do know that 70% of our customer segments are large and only 30% is small. So I'm going to go 70-30, not saying that's correct, but just to kind of match the simulation. Now down here it's spending to retain large customers, spending to acquire. So how much do I want to spend to maintain my loyalty base? How much do I want for new? Let's just leave it at 50-50, but I strongly recommend these are numbers that you play with to see what happens. Okay, now marketing. So right here you have these little question marks, the amount you want to spend on training for your Salesforce next quarter. So training your marketing and your sales team, up to you how much you spend there. They've put 80,000 in as a good benchmark. Twice that's really good, half that's not so good. So you decide if that's critically important. Obviously, you need to base your communications and training on the Salesforce side as well. So if you significantly drop your Salesforce, maybe you don't need as much budget to do that. Here's your choice to spend on market research or not. I'm going to spend on it because I want to show it to you. And then here, the product development is how much you want to spend on improving the features. I'm going to show you that kind of where that comes into play, but you have two main features, power to size and thermal resistance. These are the two areas that you can focus on. As you read the reading and as you talk to your, watch the videos of your customers, you'll see what customer cares about what feature. Manufacturing efficiency improvement. This is kind of an interesting one, but you have to look at this little question mark. It says spending between 100 to 500,000 per year, so that's four quarters, could result in variable manufacturing costs declining by as much as 30%. So two ways of being a successful CEO obviously is increasing revenue and profits, but also decreasing costs. So manufacturing efficiency improvement, if you invest in it over time, you can reduce the cost of making your materials, thereby increasing your profit margins. So again, something to consider based on the strategy you are looking to do. So something I want to show you. So based on kind of the decisions, I didn't do a whole lot here, but I have a little bit of budget left over. I can choose not to spend it. If I don't spend it, it goes straight to my bottom line. Will I be rewarded or penalized for that? All depends on how my decisions on my other areas have mattered. Now I want to come up here to pricing. Okay, the list price of our product is here, and then each segment gets a discount. So I can choose how much each of my customer segments are paying based on the discount that they get. The distributor discount is how much I'm giving the discount to my distributor, and then they can then upsell it to their customers, to the small customer segment. This little calculator right here is going to be your best friend as you play with pricing. If you click on it, you can actually go in and see, here's my list price, here's my percentage discount, then here's my net price. So it'll do the math for you. So you don't actually have to do the calculator and see what these numbers are. You'll actually just change this. So I can say, okay, segment A, 11%. Now that changed to $1 more. I can say segment D, maybe I'm just going to give them 25%. I think that's the highest you can go unless you change your list price. So I can only do 20%, but I can change my list price maybe here to, if I change it to $200, no one's going to like me because I just crazily racked up the price. But I think then I can increase my discounts higher than 20%. But I'm going to put this back to 142. And then this has to go back down to 20. But just so you can see, you can kind of play with those numbers and see kind of where their pricing is going to be. Here's your channel partner, right? So this is your distributors. So right now the price of distributors is about 125. They are going to make 5%. They have to jump by 7%. So the small customer net price is 132, kind of somewhere here in the middle of this. I'm not gonna play with it other than maybe change this to 15%, give them more of a discount. Maybe that saves my life. Who knows? Okay, before I hit submit, I want to show you a couple of things. I want to show you net prices. So you're actually going to see you versus the competitor where your pricing is at. Customer purchases. So this is how much, so you can see we're losing market share, but you can see, little hint here, which of the 4 markets, A, B, C, and D, is our most loyal group. It would make sense that the group that's buying the most products from us is probably one of our better groups. Okay, so you can look at that here and decide where you're going to focus, but you need to know that each of these segments have different requirements, okay, in terms of sales. Sales, this is how much new customers are buying, how much existing customers are buying. Remember, loyalty counts, and loyalty not only counts for maintaining your base, but also increasing the customer value of each purchase. So you create loyal customers, they buy more from you. So that's just something to keep in mind. Income statement, important to manage, to kind of just see your cost of goods sold. This is where if you're going to spend on manufacturing efficiency, this is where this might come into play over multiple quarters. Again, net income is critically important, and you're going to start, you can kind of watch both sales per unit, percentage-wise, margin detail, where you're at. You can kind of look through this and kind of see where things are going. Net income, really critical in the end. That's what you want to make. Profits what matter. Okay, market research. This is important to watch closely. Could be one of the most important things that I can show you about that you won't get on your own. First of all, you can just have a little play-by-play. This little video. This video will increase as you make more quarters. It'll show I'm just replaying it here. It's showing you where each of your main large customer segments are focused. So if you see power to size ratio, A cares a lot more about that. Thermal resistance, the other feature, A doesn't care as much about that. B, really high on thermal resistance, not so high on power to size. C cares about both, so really high end. And then of course D doesn't really care so much about features, probably more about price. As you make decisions, this video will play more, and you'll get to watch where you are positioning yourself in the market based on your decisions. If you get after 10, 12 quarters and you're sitting out here in the middle, probably not the best decisions. You need to pick a direction and be somebody to someone. That's kind of the key element of this game that it's trying to show you, is that you have to pick a customer segment. You want to own it, you want to grow it, and ideally you'll be rewarded by market share for picking a direction that you might target. Okay? Now, there's a View Data tab up here, which is really, really important. This is the one I want to show you and help you understand. When you pay for market research, you will get access to this tab. And I want to show you these numbers are here a little bit arbitrary, but they're just telling you what the customers are expecting in terms of quality output of the 2 features that you can create. So power to size ratio, okay, if you're looking here, A, remember if you go look at that last chart, A really cares about power to size ratio. So you can see they really want a high level of arbitrary numbers. C does too. B and D don't care about these so much. Actual is where you're performing. So right now, your last 2 quarters, you have spent money on improving your power to size ratio. You can see you're not quite meeting C and D's or A and C's demands, but you are meeting B and D's demands on this. As you spend or don't spend in this category, you will actually watch this number either increase faster or not increase as fast based on the decisions you make. Same thing goes here for thermal resistance. This is how you're performing. B and C really want high performance. A wants acceptable performance. D, not as much, at least higher than that on D. So where you make decisions on how much you spend here will also show up here. And it'll also show you every quarter where the demands are from your customers. Now, this price here could become the most important thing that you see, because what will happen is customers know as quality improves, they're willing to pay more for higher quality. So you'll see here over the last 3 quarters, A, on this side of the hash mark, is what they're willing to pay, and this side of the hash mark is what you're actually charging. So you can see as of this quarter, A is willing to pay $1 more for product than you're actually charging them, as long as you're maintaining the quality that they want. So as you improve quality, watch closely if you're going to target A, B, C, or D in terms of what they're willing to pay for your product if the quality is significantly matching, or at least you're targeting them as sales and marketing and product quality. So this will continue to grow as we make decisions, allowing us to see how we're doing compared to what customers are willing to pay. Okay. Product performance, this is just kind of a chart of the 2 features. So you're the dark blue, your competitors are light blue. You're doing pretty well on power to size. You're a little bit ahead of them. They're doing better than you in thermal resistance. Your decisions you'll see these charts either scroll up or scroll down based on your decisions over time. Customer satisfaction, I talked about this. So as you serve some segments and don't serve others, you're going to see people get happier or less excited by your service, and you can watch the videos based on those performance. Okay, and then of course your sales force, kind of your quality of interactions with your sales reps. This is kind of help you know, are you serving the segments that you care about most importantly. News, okay, just kind of giving you an overview as how things are going so you understand what things might be trending, and then finally go back to your decide tab where you can actually make your decisions. So I've been putting some changes here. They're not a lot, but I want to go ahead and I should have a submit button. I don't know why I don't get to submit, because there should be a submit button on the bottom of this tab, but I don't think the submit button should be right down here. I think in this kind of simulation just review, I don't have access to that, but it should be right down here will be a green submit button. Once you hit that submit button, your decisions will take effect. I believe it jumps back to this screen where you'll actually get to see it. I'm going to go ahead and run one and show it to you real quick. But we're too much space. So I'm going to give you one last, well, let me just do it here. We're already too large. So let's do this. Go back to here. I'm going to go back to here, back to facilitator. Let's go ahead. Users may run this entire simulation. Oh, yeah. Activate scenario. Why don't I have a decision tab? Oh, they're over here. Okay, there's the green button. Okay, so maybe it was there and I just didn't see it, but I'm just gonna take some tweaks. While I'm doing this, really important to note, while you're in practice mode, while we're practice simulating, I expect and fully anticipate you to get fired. The reason is, make some wild changes, make some big adjustments, see how big changes can really impact. So for example, I'm just gonna make some big ones here. So I'm gonna say nothing there. I'm gonna spend my whole budget on power to size. I'm gonna reduce this. I'm going to raise my prices a ton. Now, what you ought to do is do one crazy decision at a time. Don't do everything all at once, but do Say, you know, maybe one quarter, spend everything on large customers, nothing on small. Run that for a couple quarters, see what happens. Spend, you know, significant more on large and small, and run it a couple times and see the impact of one or two decisions that you make at a time and see how those impact the market. You may get fired, so then you just run the simulation again. So I'm going to submit decisions. There it ran. Okay, A wasn't happy, B wasn't happy. I got a little bit in C. D wasn't really happy, and neither was small. That's probably not good. My profit margins went way down. My income statement, net income, way down. That's not a good week. I made some boo-boos there. So I'm going to go ahead and just run it again. Hey, for some reason A jumped up, C went up, B and D didn't do anything. My spending on features, I went way up on power to size, nothing on thermal. My net income back up a little bit, obviously because customers are buying more. Now I didn't make any changes in my decision. So why am I down once and up another? I know the reason why, but I want you to kind of ask yourselves those questions. What is happening? Why are things happening the way that they're happening? Okay, so that's where all of this will come in. Go back to your Decide tab. Make the adjustments that you want. Oh, I lost my budget because I was losing money, so I have to kind of maybe drop this by some. Okay, submit decisions. A is still doing better, C is still doing better. Things are looking up a little bit, and I'm not making a whole lot of tweaks. But I want to show you something because I want to show you. So I'm going to just jack up the prices like crazy, submit that decision, and I got fired. So nobody bought from me when I jumped up the price. My final score is 34, and I didn't do so well. But I have this play again button, so I come down here and it started to let me play again. Now, something I want to show you that's not on my screen, but is really important. When you play this, when you play this and you have some past decisions, so first your decision history is really cool because you can see what decisions you made. So if you finally get to a good simulation in your practice round, you could actually screen capture this decision history and save it for your final round if you want to. But then also when you get done with multiple sims, there'll be a little bit of link. It's really, really small down here. I can't see it now, but it'll say review past simulations, and you can click that and you actually can go in and see past simulations that you have done. So it gives you a little bit of those will disappear after I clear out all of the practice sims, but that past simulation decision history will be there for your final run, which will come in for a minute when I talk about your report. Okay, so that's how you practice it. Again, final advice: during the practice simulation, make significant changes, get fired a lot, look at the reactions of customers. Make changes at one thing at a time, whether it's large customers, focus on that. Maybe it's changing your sales force, focus on that. Maybe it's playing with pricing, focus on that. You've got unlimited amount of practice sims. So I want you to go ahead and practice and play around with it so you can kind of learn the customer behavior. And then after you practice it a couple times, then practice a couple of times with some minor decisions to see if you can make it all the way through all of the quarters. So right now I'm just going to move it back to the prepare tab only. Because until I let everybody run it the same amount of time, practice the same amount of time, and have that fun final round. Okay, this is where next to this credits button is where that past sims will show up for you when you have them. Okay, my last video is going to show you what to do for your final report after we run all these sims. It'll be done in a couple weeks for everyone, but I want to show you exactly what I want done. Normally I don't do that, but in this case, there's an exact format that if you follow what I want, it'll be very advantageous for everybody to just do it this way. So I'm going to stop this video, give you one last video of kind of what to do for your final report.